So good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's marvelous science track panel. I'm here to give you the spiel, the Dragon Con charity for open hands, giving meals to the less fortunate people. Please, even like pennies count, because Dragon Con is matching up to 10,000, which is super cool. I'm not eating the mic, that's on me. I should know this by now. And Solve for X is tonight, and we're plugging that all the time. Yes, do come. It's going to be great in the Grand Ballroom, right? Yes. No? Maybe. Grandies. My bad. Okay. Fantastic. And without further ado, here is this beautiful panel. Yay.
All right, welcome everybody. Per Dragon Con official policy, we're asking all of the audience to remain masked. We are unmasked in order to provide a measure of accessibility for those of you that may be lip reading.
Mic up to the mask.
Mic up
Chair.
to the mouth.
Yes,
Oh.
so yes, for the question and answer period, make sure that you get the mic all the way up to your mask so that we can hear you clearly. All right, I'd like to open this meeting. This is the External Grant Review Committee for the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Associated Laboratories. This is an open meeting in order, please, among
2 by 2.
the gathered spectators. There will be a question and answer session at the end. A lot of items on the agenda, so we need to move very quickly through those items. Collectively, the projects up for review involve funds upwards of $750 billion, most of which is for damage and liability insurance. So right now I'm going to turn it over to the parliamentarian. Oh, I'm so sorry. We're going to do introductions first. I'm Dr. Lali DeRozier out of University of Central Florida with degrees in biology, science education, and educational psychology.
Hi, I'm Dr. Danielle Lee from the illustrious Hudson University that we all know about. I have degrees in ecology, biology, and other random degrees as needed.
Dr. Rachel Burks. I am a chemist at American University. I have degrees in chemistry, forensic chemistry, and other degrees as conveniently needed for the assessment procedures of this panel.
Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Nicole Glucci, also of Hudson University.
Yes,
my
the
degrees,
illustrious.
Illustrious. My degrees are in physics, astrophysics, and yet more physics, and so I will be filling in that expertise as needed.
All right, so for the purposes of moving this meeting along, each of us has prepared a case.
I'm sorry, Ms. Chairwoman. Do you want me to speak now?
Yes,
or
yes. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Burks, our parliamentarian, to refresh the committee on the rules today.
We are aware, of course, that we have to review. We had actually dozens of applications come in for our review, but we had to prioritize only a few for our public meeting. I'd like the committee members and the audience to remember that these are all up for renewal. They have been previously approved. Now, those previous approvals may have been under other ethical guidelines, but the review is now under the ethical guidelines of 2022, so the outcomes may be very different.
Yes.
Right. So we are applying the rules of today. No protocols, plans, techniques, methodologies, principal investigators, or funding programs are grandfathered in. Thank you. Mrs. Chairwoman.
Oh, thank you very much. So I'm going to start today. We're going to be talking about the Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division, better known as SHIELD, and associated laboratories under Dr. Abram Erskine, Project Rebirth. This is a project that was started in 1930 in Germany.
The before times, as we like to
before
say, in regulation and oversight.
Yeah, so the development of the super soldier serum, the popular in the media, the case of Steve Rogers, and later James Buchanan Barnes. The PI on this is Dr. Erskine, who is deceased. The co-PI is Howard Stark, also deceased. Yeah, they took a long time to file their paperwork.
Okay.
And in conjunction with the Department of Defense. So the serum was originally developed, as I said, in Germany. A failed Hydra test spectacularly in 1940 before Dr. Erskine came over to the United States to continue his research. Current research involves reverse engineering from the blood of subject Steve Rogers. There's a number of problems, I think, with this file. If let's just jump right in.
Yeah. Ugh.
Quick question. You keep saying serum, and in my case file, what I don't have are the actual ingredients in the formulation.
So that is protected, and this is one of the problems with the serum, hence the reverse engineering from Steve Rogers' blood. It was never published, written down, filed, annotated, shared with anybody ever. It was simply formulated and injected, in technical terms, willy-nilly. And then enhanced with Vita rays, which is a form of radiation also undocumented.
So basically,
I'm sorry, what part of the electromagnetic spectrum are we talking about with these?
It's the Vita
rays.
spectrum.
Really
the
far
Vita
to the
part
left.
of the spectrum.
I know.
Okay,
So far to the left, it doesn't exist.
fair enough.
Okay.
Uber
so
radio.
none of the lab notebooks made it, is what we're saying. They haven't been digitized.
No, there were multiple explosions. And in fact, one of the problems is the capillary practices that started in the 1940s with SHIELD have spilled over. And I'm looking at you, Bruce Banner. My concern is that these practices are being adopted by other labs, and so we really need to address the protocol that's being done to approve these tests.
Well, speaking of protocols, I mean, besides the many, many issues with every aspect of this project, they haven't actually included the protocol for, quote, the reverse engineering.
Yes.
And there's also no data management plan, so how are we going to limit the repeat of history with no documentation when they have actually included no plan to document?
There was one notable case of data management where one of the Hydra researchers uploaded his brain into a computer in a bunker and was able to continue through some sort of artificial intelligence those experimentations, but sadly also lost in a massive explosion.
This is also one that we've got comments from the National Institutes of Health, as well as comments from the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense, International Union of Pure and Applied Chemists, as well as my mother. But anyway, I think, maybe one of the biggest take-homes is, can we trust people who were never able to write things down in a permanent fashion to continue running this project?
Hey,
That's a question I have.
in a particularly egregious case, you'll recall that the same serum was tested on black soldiers without their knowledge.
Oh, the answer is hell no.
No.
So,
Yes.
all right, so hell no.
Okay.
Moving right along.
Right along.
Well,
Dr. Danielle Lee, you have a file on PIM Technologies.
I do. So PIM Technologies would like to resume use of the PIM particle serum and biosynthetic wing implants on human subjects ages 16 and older.
I'm sorry, wait, did you say 16?
Yes.
Did you say wing?
Wings, I did. So biosynthetic wasp wings surgically implanted inside of human subjects.
In children?
So I want the committee to note that this is a renewal of a previously approved research, but the permits have expired, so this is them trying to bring it back because the organization experienced some upheaval from a hostile takeover and then the death of its founder, Dr. Jonathan Hank Pym. So they're trying to bring it back. Yeah. The PI, Darren Cross, would like to resume these technologies officially as soon as possible.
For 16 and up?
Yes, it's been done before. So it's important to note. So in their file, Dr. Cross notes that, yes, am I reading that right? Yes, both Dr. Hank Pym his wife, Janet Van Dyne, and then Dr. Pym's daughter from the first marriage, who was young, have all, experienced these technologies.
Aren't two of them missing?
Those reports, so that's one of the things we can include in there if they get the funding and renewal, that before funding is put out that they have to close out those previously required reports. So like sadly the others, there's some delay in filing this paperwork, like that annual renewal. Again, the entire company collapsed before they could finish their renewal paperwork before.
If they don't have the proper infrastructure, should we be giving them more money to experiment on children, besides, by the way, the experimenting on children?
I mean, they have a very interesting approach to this. I mean, here's the thing. This is what makes this science so novel and interesting. If that's good enough to just do it, which has been an excuse used from the before times. So the PIM particles are subatomic, extra-dimensional particles that can increase or decrease mass, density, strength of objects, both organic and inorganic. I mean, the ability to, like, the science that could be done.
I'm just a chemist, not a physicist, but can any of those things be increased at will?
No.
Okay.
Well, my concern is the implementation that we've seen in the past. Apparently, there have been some very public incidences of giant ant-men in toppling buildings, crushing cars, buckling roadways.
Do they budget enough for the rebuilding of that destruction?
No. They were hoping that could get covered in the recovery and renewal grant that they're requesting for us.
There's no part of the budget solicitation that deals with liability. It cannot be in the budget justification, and that, by my own reference, is 67% of their budget.
Wow. Yes. So it sounds like, if I'm hearing right, it fails on both intellectual merit and ethical merit.
Well,
I don't disagree.
They certainly made some broader impacts. However, I don't think they matched the intended impacts that were in the original grant.
That's true.
So if I'm understanding this right, if these particles are subatomic, what is the data collection method in a quantum state? What kind of instrumentation are they using at the quantum level?
Which is also not in their budget. Again, I'm looking at their budget, and they have not actually delineated and specified which instruments they're paying for. They simply literally list lab equipment.
Yes. Well, hold on. I'm going through. I see one final note. Oh, this is highly inappropriate. But the PI says he's coming to us for this funding, or else he will get it from other places. So he was just trying to do us a solid by getting it funded officially, because he does have alternative funding mechanisms who would be very interested in this technology, potentially even weaponized. I think he's threatening us if we don't fund him.
I don't respond to threats. I don't think anyone else on the committee does as well. And so I'm going to have to vote no.
F him.
Nope.
So, F him, duly noted.
Yeah, so that's why their company's dead.
All right, moving on, Dr. Burks, you have a file from Stark Industries.
As we've seen, a habitual, not only requester, but I don't think it's an overstatement to say offender.
Habitual line stepper.
So Stark Industries, of course, company is in flux. We recognize that there have been some serious leadership overhauls in the past 10 to 15 years. But again, this is actually a unique situation of not only did they themselves as a corporation through our business innovation research program submit for additional funding, but we had a number of institutions and organizations want to alert us to their concerns, including our colleagues over at the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, or NRC, noting serious deficiencies in non-compliance coming to 1, 2, 3 different fusion reactor issues, including one here. I'm not sure if this name is correct, the Duel of Los Angeles? some major incident in downtown Los Angeles with Stark Industries? Okay, I live in D.C. I'm not sure what happened there.
I just want a point of clarification. When you say that the leadership is in flux, do you mean that the PI is dead?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yes.
3 for 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dead PIs.
There, and I, again, safety first. That concerns me because, you know, safety leadership comes from the top, and I think we have big problems with that here. Is no one can actually account for where any of the reactors are right now and whether they were properly decommissioned. So they're asking to build what in their own paperwork they say it's either 3, 4, or 5, which seems like extremely sloppy accounting to me.
Well, how big are these reactors? How hard can they be to find?
They range in size. You've got the one that was used to power individual suits all the way to the ones that are powering entire industrial complexes. That one is the one that's featured that ended up being a major energy disaster in downtown Los Angeles. So they are asking for additional funding. However, the NRC, the DOE, the DOD, IUPAC, as well as literally every other acronym is saying that they would really be interested in submitting documents of concern based on arms dealing, RICO statutes, what I believe is racketeering in furtherance of a criminal enterprise, and many additional top-line federal counts. So they caution us against using federal funds for this project. So I am concerned.
It's worth noting that historically, Stark Industries, founded by Howard Stark, also was involved with the super soldier serum that we categorically denied. That raises some serious red flags for me.
So based on our colleagues' input and what I'm seeing in their file, and again, leadership is weak at this point. We understand why. I do not recommend funding at this time for this continued project of the arc reactors.
All right, so noted?
So noted.
Denied. All right, Dr. Giglucci, the Foster Lab, a newer lab.
Yes, so the PI of this is actually going to be Dr. Darcy Lewis. And this is the project Onset of Einstein-Rosen Bridge with implications for interstellar travel. And they're looking for continued funding for this interstellar travel because they had a little bit of a problem last time where they couldn't actually pinpoint where they were going to end up.
I mean, can you pinpoint where you're going to end up?
I know you're a field biologist, but
Depends
yes.
on your thought, no.
I mean,
Depends on whether or not you accept the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics.
As a field biologist, the only Copenhagen I recognize comes in a small green can.
All right.
I'm sorry, another point of clarification. The PI is Darcy Lewis. What happened to Dr. Foster?
Dr. Foster is
Don't
also
tell me they're dead.
deceased.
Oh, my.
We have confirmation of that because half of your people are just missing. What? We have confirmation of that?
Yes, we have confirmation.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Was this a research-related incident?
No.
Okay, that's different. That's different.
Yes.
So natural.
So yes, natural causes. Although it may have been accelerated by some of the research.
Wait, what?
The process of her illness may have actually been accelerated by the research. It turns out. So yes, natural causes. However, ...
Do we have a health impact? I didn't see a health impact appendix or addendum.
No, that's missing. Because the PI, of course, specializes in astrophysics, and so squishy things don't really come into their minds.
So this research involves an interstellar transgalactic bridge?
Yes.
Of some kind. What is the jurisdiction?
That's a good question. Thank you.
Is that
Yeah,
Space
that is
Force? Is that
I believe they are in communication with Elon Musk.
Well,
That's extremely
you know
problematic.
what?
That did raise some red flags for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely not. And
There are just certain, I'm looking. Every kind of funding agency has a black list, and he's at the top of it.
And so with that mention, I would like to add to the file a concern file to flag any research that has Musk associated with it.
So
Flag it,
noted.
regardless of any public-private
Yes,
interaction.
The
That's an
person,
immediate-
the perfume choice, the whole thing.
All of it.
Okay.
Yes, yeah,
I like that,
that
to
is
be
immediately flagged.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. At
It's
this
really
time,
unfortunate that I had to read all 15 pages before I got to that part.
He tried to slip it in.
They did.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this time, we have 4 for 4 completely denied. That's certainly going to save all of these agencies a lot of money.
And so many lives.
So many lives.
So many lives.
Many, many parked cars will be saved.
I do have one more that we might bring up if we have time for it. We're a little bit ahead of schedule.
Go for it.
Yeah.
So we also have one from what they're calling "Nothing is More Important Than Family," which I believe is the Torinos. Something.
That's a little bit outside of our scope, but since we have the time, I'll entertain it.
Okay. Well, it was submitted by Department of Defense. It seems that they have been an outside contractor for 9, 10 different missions. Although the first mission is very dubious, I think they were stealing DVDs, but it's unclear to me how that's related. But they want additionally in this next 10th project, they're requesting an individual budget of $200 million for 1 year's work.
For what's happening?
The budget justification literally includes because we're family. So I'm not sure exactly what it involves, but like our audience member says, they have been to space, if that...
Do we have the CVs for all of the members of said family? Did each one fill out an investigator profile?
Yeah, a quick little bio sketch at the very least.
Yeah.
Well, there's large sections that have been redacted. So how useful it is, it's black bar, black bar, black bar, black bar, we are family, black bar, black bar. I need a Corona, black bar, black bar, black bar. So not exactly useful.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you referring to Dominic Toretto
Yes.
of the Live Your Life a Quarter Mile at a Time?
Yes.
And is there any kind of like procedure, materials, purpose, environmental impact study,
There is
expenditures?
Well, there actually is a submitted environmental impact study related to a safe incident in one of our partner countries, which is actually a negative of environmental impact. And so that's not actually doesn't actually help them. It was more that they ended up killing 212 bystanders and ruining roughly, by estimates of the Brazilian authorities, $173 million in infrastructure.
Yeah, I don't see any good reason to move forward with that project.
I don't either.
So
Yikes.
it's a no for Department of
That's a no.
Defense, is what
That's
I'm
a-
hearing.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a no.
Yikes.
That's a no.
I'm
All right.
worried they're going to try to slip this one in on, housing and housing and urban development. That's what I'm worried about.
Well, it's happened before, right? Literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, at this time, we're going to open it up to the community. As you know, there's a lot of research going on out there,
Yes.
and as one review board, we can't be expected to be on top of all of them. And you, as members of the scientific community, contribute a lot. And so we would like to hear. Please bring forward to the committee any issues, concerns, problems that you have either at your institutions or things that you've been made aware of.
Yes.
As
Speak.
communities of concern, feel free to basically rat out your colleagues, friends.
Yeah, so this is in regards to cryptid studies. There have been discussions of a abnormally large anthropomorphic duck that can speak. And so I was hoping I could pursue investigation of these reports and either verify or invalidate the existence of such a creature.
Dr. Lee?
I have a follow-up question. As certified with the Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee, this one is a confusing one. So my first question is, if you're saying it's sentient, and I need to be clear, are we talking about more as a sentient human-like or animal-like? Because we need to determine whether it goes to the human subject review board or the animal subject review board.
Yes.
So with that in mind, you will now play double dutch and have to deal with both sets of scrutiny and paperwork and rules. So on the animal side, you must make sure that you're in compliance with all vertebrate animal subjects, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, waterfowl, federal government, cross-state. In addition to, I need to understand what biological specimens you'll have, where you will house all those biological specimens, and if you'll be involving any undergraduates or underage individuals in the pursuit of this research, even before you even consider starting your research.
Is the duck also crossing any jurisdictional boundaries, including state and territorial lines?
I may need access to an Einstein-Rosen bridge in order to track the creature down.
So is this a collaborative proposal, is what you're telling me?
A collaborative proposal. Well, if that's the case, because you've hitched your...
wildlife trafficking, which is the UN Office
Yes.
of Drugs and Crime, and
Yep.
that's a completely different beast.
And, oh my goodness, I'm going to be honest with you. If you would like to continue working in any capacity with animal research, I can't do anything about the human side. If you're going to hitch your wagon up to that, I don't recommend it. You're going to be on every list. You won't even be able to catch a Greyhound bus.
And if the duck is sentient, approaching human status, you're going to have to do an informed consent.
Yes.
You're going to have to guarantee anonymity and confidentiality.
How are you going to handle those records?
Data management procedures.
As well as a public outreach plan.
Yes.
I don't see broader impacts at this point that are positive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, again, maybe additional reflection.
Yes.
And speaking with your partners to move forward.
Yes.
I'll get right on that.
Can you comment on the historical impact of Project Pegasus, which is a United States Air Force, SHIELD, and Department of Defense project in the 1990s with Dr. Lawson?
Oh. I'm not even authorized to talk about it.
Can you give us the details of the project?
Which specific part of the project do you have concerns that you'd like to raise to the committee?
I was concerned, particularly as I understand the incident report, Captain Danvers had to fire a weapon at the Cosmic Cube, which granted her superpowers. Curious if you had any thoughts on that one.
Yes. I mean, it's a classic violation of not just local, county, state,
universe
safety protocols that I think we all ascribe to. But, there's a standard federal protocol that you do not fire a weapon at an unknown mystical, magical / scientific, fantastical device. This is the benchmark of reasonable scientific activity in the modern era.
I'm going to be honest. I'm a little surprised that we're even dealing with this because I didn't think that file was decommissioned yet. I'm really surprised. And now that we've done it and I can talk about it, I was completely put off by, the whole human scale, when they replaced her blood, completely inappropriate. There was zero IRB or consent for that. That was completely
what we're talking
dangerous.
about is a laboratory accident,
Yes.
which we have, all of us, no matter how safe you are, have some experience with.
Yes, but to try to cover it up as...
Well, this person did not get suitable aftercare, which
No.
in many of these projects, what you will see is even when approval is given for human-involved research, you have to have a quite detailed briefing aftercare scenario. This seems lacking in this case to a shocking and quite unprofessional degree.
Yeah, and the fact that they tried to cover it up as an alien terrorist attack. I mean, that's how they tried to deal with it.
Well, I mean, if I had a penny for each time we've done that.
Point taken. You're right. Cross himself with Tim Industries did.
I mean, allegedly.
In addition to that, we're dealing with the extremely problematic aspect of trying to harness energy from the Tesseract, which is an artifact of considerable power, which was acquired under very dubious circumstances that we're not entirely sure we have jurisdiction on through the Bifrost, which we,
Still don't
should
understand.
it be repatriated? I mean, there's a
it
movement for
absolutely
that.
should be repatriated. This is, it is not up to us.
FBI is now.
Yeah. Oh, what?
Dead, missing, deceased.
Yeah.
I do see we have comment too. We don't want to forget this side of the house at some point. Go ahead.
Hello. I'm looking to start a physical fitness program,
Okay.
and I need a certain amount of funding. It's a 12-week program,
Okay.
and it involves the use of gamma rays. And it seems like a good idea. You know, like we got a few people into it already, and we may need a certain amount of money to see the program come to fruition.
And what would be the ultimate goal? Physical fitness seems a little vague.
Well, I mean, it all depends on the user, you know.
I think we need to dig into the nature of this gamma ray source and whether that is something you have through prior funding or that you are looking to fund now.
Yes.
Or that you perhaps have already used and are now trying to clean up.
Trying to backdoor get
No,
permission.
my friend has. His name's Bruce Banner, and
He's on a.
he's not doing the best
no.
right now. He's not doing the best right now. He's not the best.
No, I know Bruce. I went to school with Bruce.
Which time?
And
All of them.
All seven.
this is
All
yet
seven.
another. Bruce Banner's work is yet another example of a failed attempt to reverse engineer this super serum.
Yes.
That was originally investigated first by Hydra and then by SHIELD. So as you can see, this is an extremely problematic.
And he wasn't even trying to reverse engineer it. He was just late in the lab at night and thought he was warming up some old fried rice. And look what happened. He was
That's
just
typical.
tired.
I mean, yes.
This is
Typical.
why
The protocols.
good work-life balance matters. And Bruce was like, I want to do more. I want to get more PhDs. And I'm like, you don't get called doctor more than once.
I mean,
You're
you
just
know,
an underpaid postdoc 6 more times.
Right? That's all that is.
We all know how Mr. 7 PhDs rolls.
Yeah. He paid for dinner, though. I will tell him that. I like that. I like that.
It did make me call him doctor when I was going to school with him. But I'm just looking for some funding for an ongoing monitoring of a single medical case study. There was a successful transfusion recently and we're looking for sort of a long-term impact and health study, but it's sort of like there's three sort of paths of the impact. There's a legal side where we're seeing if this transfusion is going to have any impact on the lawyer who received the transfusion, a health impact side, and a material science impact side, because when she gets angry, she makes large impacts. Also, could I get any guidance or comment on how to retain a good mason for the repairs in the funding model?
Are we talking about an N of 1?
Oh yeah, it's just a single medical case study. We'd like some continuous funding to monitor and possibly repair the damage.
So, I'm going to be honest with you. You should just go fund me.
that is an option. I am also concerned, like in our previous case, you're asking for ethical approval of something that you've already done.
Yes.
And that's not actually how human research review works.
I'm a
although
mandatory
many
reporter. I'm more mad I got to do paperwork now.
Many of our colleagues think because they're not going to publish it that they don't actually have to go through these hoops.
Yes.
But that's not true.
What's your name again? You're on my list. I'm a mandatory reporter. I got to hotline this now.
Hi, I was looking to submit a proposal for funding to look for a longitudinal study examining potential psychological and maybe physical effects of the incident, of the individuals involved in the incident with the hex in Westview.
So we're looking for an impact study.
Yeah, just the psychological impacts, maybe even physical, biological impacts, just kind of just getting an idea of what damage might have been done in the short term and also in the long term.
This is actually what we do best because you're responding to an incident, whether it is a natural disaster, a mythical disaster, a disaster caused by a different realm, a different multiverse.
A Howard Stark disaster.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, almost all of them.
Which I'm frankly surprised at.
Yeah,
but
frankly. It smells like him.
What I'm encouraged by is both the short-term and long-term plans for the study, the physical and the psychological, which are avenues that oftentimes, quite frankly, we don't see enough of. I'd be encouraged to see a proposal, but of course, number one, we are going to need to see details.
Yes.
And please remember that your budget justification shouldn't only include the phrase, "we are family."
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And letters of support for co-experts go a long way.
Yes, as well as community support too.
Which sounds like broader impacts are built in.
Yes,
So
I
I think that it has potential.
I agree.
And we'll be encouraged to read the full proposal at some point.
We encourage you to submit a full proposal.
Yeah. And before we write off the involvement of Stark Industries, let's remember that this incident is closely tied to Vision, who was created by Ultron, who was created by Stark.
Once again.
Once again.
I would like to submit a proposal to study some individuals of a mischievous god and see how how individuals of both humanoid species as well as reptiles what defines a Loki?
Do we do gods and myths?
Are we talking? It's a
I would like to
definitional
discuss-
experiment. It's really an observational study.
Is it observation? Are you talking about actual or are you talking about a modeling simulation?
No, I'm talking an observational study. I would like to take both biological and psychological samples of biologicals, do some psychological tests as well to identify what causes them. How can a crocodile be a Loki as well as a humanoid and a god?
What kind of biological samples are we talking
I'm
about?
genetic screening mostly. I believe is probably what I'll be doing. I understand I will need to submit to both an IRB and an IACUC.
Yeah.
How is that data going to be stored and handled long term and
Yeah.
anonymized?
This is my problem.
Okay.
So
I have questions about your transportation because the Einstein-Rosen Bridge project has just been defunded.
They're going to appear to be.
Yeah. So that might be although you
So
are
I'm
thinking
not-
long-term
yeah,
effects.
So you don't move from pre-proposal to permission to submit a full, but I am going to give you some feedback to flesh out that review, flesh out that grant. And perhaps since this is still very, very descriptive, let's do some model simulations first. All right. Is that Professor B?
Dr. Hugh Strange, psychiatrist, Arkham Asylum. I have a proposal I would like to put in front of the committee. I have what I believe is a radical new treatment technique for some of my patients that I think would really help them reintegrate into society.
Could you say your name again, please, for the committee, for the official record?
Dr. Hugo Strange,
Strange.
And you said asylum?
Asylum.
Arkham Asylum.
So
There's
prisoners.
a whole nother level of detail here with your IRB project, and
Prisoners.
you are dealing with prisoners.
What is-
This
what
is
is
a
it-
vulnerable
Yeah, that's a
population.
protected.
What is it that you're proposing, Doctor?
So what I would like to do is provide them with a serum that would help them. It would transform them. They would be larger. They would be stronger. They would be what I would call perhaps monstrous men.
Are you willing to disclose all ingredients and the formulation of your serum?
It is all in the lockbox in my filing cabinet at Arkham.
You didn't actually answer the question. Are you willing to disclose all the ingredients in the serum?
It's
Dr.
got a very
Strange?
it's got a very nice key on it.
Yes or no?
Yes.
You are willing to disclose all the ingredients in your serum.
No.
Thank you very much.
But wait, if it would help my proposal while I was dead, I did get better.
It doesn't help, but we appreciate your optimism.
Thank you.
I have a question, Doctor, about your participants. Do they want to be bigger and stronger?
I think they will enjoy it.
Again, you haven't answered the question.
We'll work on that consent form.
See that you do.
Thank you.
Committee, I do want to say, though, this is the first proposal that had a solid data management and privacy plan.
It did. He
Yeah.
did say it was
It did.
locked in a
Locked
safe.
in his,
That
in his
is
office.
yes.
That one he
So-
had. That
Now,
yes.
unfortunately, I think
only
are
one
we
of
out of time? I think
15
we're out of time.
pages.
No. We have a few more minutes.
Okay. Okay.
So that on that part, I
Maybe
am
from
impressed.
someone we
Somebody
have
who
not
hasn't
heard
gone
before.
yet, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
We hadn't heard from him.
Okay, cool. You got it.
So I'm wondering on the documentation here, if I got something approved in a different timeline and then time traveled, do I need to get reapproval of the project?
Absolutely.
Yes. Well. Which timeline? Is it past or future?
Pass.
Parallel?
Do you have the actual paperwork?
Yes, because
Well,
what we
that
can do is an
didn't
IRB to
travel.
IRB review.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
We
then
do have
we'll
an
expedite-
interdisciplinary.
common.
Yeah, we will expedite it if you can show demonstration of approved paperwork, but we just can't take your word from it. For
Yeah.
it.
So do you have this documentation in that timeline?
That didn't really travel. Well,
Okay.
Yeah, you're pretty much
Yeah,
gonna
we
have
Can
to
you
start from
travel
scratch.
to that timeline to get a
Ooh.
copy of said documentation?
that seems problematic.
Okay.
We don't really want to unravel the timelines
okay.
just to get paperwork.
Unfortunately, as if we had the full documentation, we could do an
Yeah.
expedited review of it. But since you don't have access to it, the answer would be no.
Yeah, I think it'd be easier for you to just start from scratch. Yeah.
And you want, oh.
Yeah, we're good.
Hi. Work co-PIs. I'm the senior principal investigator, and this is the trainee. He's going to propose our.
We just recovered some weapons from one Adrian Toombs from the attack on New York with the Chitauri weapons. And we are looking to secure funding for firing ranges and things of that sort to see what sort of.
Just to be clear, sir, did you just disclose that you are in possession of weapons and you have not yet disclosed that you have the proper permits
Yes,
or
yes,
legal
you can come
requirements
now.
to be in
You
possession
need to report.
of such
We are
weapons in a room
Hilton
full of witnesses?
209.
Well,
Yeah.
Yes.
Please
we
remain
will
in place.
be in possession
No,
of
no,
the
sir.
weapons.
You said you are in possession.
Just
here.
There's paperwork that's
Remain
going
in
through.
place.
Really,
An artifact recovery team is on its
It's
way
on its
shortly.
way. Thank you.
Yeah.
He's
Thank
a-
you,
he's
though,
a-
for
he's an
outing yourself. We
assistant.
appreciate that honest and full disclosure.
Yes. Yes.
I think.
I'm wondering where I can look up past decisions so that I can attempt to find a certain sticky boy in Brooklyn and/or Queens,
I'm sorry, you're trying to find him?
maybe. Queens.
That might be why. Yes, I think
Okay.
there are multiple boroughs that you'll have to go to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I can't just go to Brooklyn and see him.
And unfortunately, sympathetic as I am, the IRB review board can't really help you locate individual subjects. As you know, they have to maintain their privacy and all of this, so we can't reveal the identity. And that's one of the things we hold our PIs, a standard to. Sadly, only Dr. Strange, who violates people's human rights, seems to appreciate.
I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot.
I'm
I
sorry.
am Groot. I am Groot.
Do not.
I am Groot.
Unfortunately, we do need that to be translated into English.
No,
before we
it's
can
all
consider
right.
it.
I speak Groot.
Okay, carry on.
I'm going to try to keep this brief. I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot.
Okay.
We're so happy. I'm so glad you're here to translate. I really appreciate that. I was
Yeah,
really
we would have
nervous.
gotten through that one.
Tough.
Okay. What assurances can you give to us, the general public, regarding the potential long-term psychological and emotional effects of repeated exposure to the phenomenon that has been colloquially referred to as America's ass?
Oh. Well, I'll tell you.
This is a good topological study,
This
actually.
is. It is. And, this is one of those studies where the review board really likes to be hands-on.
Yes.
It's important to see the primary evidence.
It's also a tactile study, so it's important that we apply multiple senses to this.
And the psychological effects have to be studied on multiple levels.
So many.
All of the stakeholders have to be considered,
Tag me in.
starting with us. Sometimes. But it's a complex issue, you know, the feelings of euphoria, levels of serotonin, all of those things are affected. But also, there can be some detrimental effects from the absence, lack of direct access. You know, so yeah, I wish that I could tell you, I wish that I could reassure you that that we're all going to be okay. But
I think tangentially, we also need to talk about cable knit sweaters. And quite honestly, disturbing mustaches.
yes, yes, there's unfortunately a lot out of our control with that one.
Yeah.
I wish we had more answers for you.
I
Yeah.
do.
I
I
honestly
think we
wish
have-
we had more ass, but again, we don't. So.
I think we have time for one more, if there is one more, before we have a late-breaking case to close us out.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Dr. Weinrich, formerly from the University of South Florida, and in pursuit of trying to get back on my feet in the research world, I discovered that there might be some vampires in New York.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
I'm hoping to do some hematology research into those if I can happen to capture some and see what makes them tick, if you know what I mean.
Ooh, tricky business.
Now,
Tricky
now,
business,
if they're
but I'm
undead,
desperate.
But here's
if they're undead, do you still have to fill out an IRB form?
That's what I
This
like.
You still
is,
have to go
we
through
have
that
had
process.
this discussion numerous times. It's actually a whole subcommittee
Yes, it is.
on, well, it's not actually called, it's the near living, I believe is
Near
our
living.
new name.
Yeah.
Is
More
that not
sensitive.
only vampires, but also shapeshifters, what are colloquially known as zombies.
Yeah.
They
don't like that term.
With vampires, which again, there's some terminology that we need to work out there still, is our leaning to right now is you do have to follow the human research protocols.
However, let me tell you something. As one who, if you can, I recommend, I'm leaning toward yes, if you can demonstrate in your procedurals and protocols that you don't necessarily have physical contact. If you can do some remote sensing, so some remote.
Which we have the technologies for.
We absolutely, like in animals, we kind of have like those hair snares.
But you still will need consent. You cannot just surreptitiously monitor people, especially in the city and state of New York.
But
they
if
have
they're
laws against
undead
that.
and more animal-like, she can pass through on the near
No,
dead
we
wildlife
don't have
protocols.
control against state law, Daniel.
But I think we can make an exception if we're talking about a public health issue.
Ooh, we could.
Again, federal, not state. We have the state of New York that we would need to integrate with, and you know how they are.
They are tricky. They are
They
tricky.
are.
I think at best you're going to be able to get away with some passive sample collection.
Yeah.
So if there's blood spatter, crime scene type.
Or serendipitous. Oh, look what I found.
If it works for NYPD, it might work for you.
Yeah. So we have a late breaking submission. There is, and it's one that seems pretty important to me, and I feel like
Yeah.
we have to address it.
Okay.
There is a transgalactic project. It's massive in its scale. And it involves population control and ecological impact. The proposal is pretty straightforward. The procedure is to remove, by culling, half of the living creatures in the universe. It's being submitted, I don't believe it's a researcher. It's being submitted by a Mr. Thanos.
Wait, is this an enclosure study?
No, it seems to be all living things everywhere.
So he's trying to do a large-scale intergalactic garden study on real lives.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm a forensic chemist. Speak in smaller words. Is this person literally asking for approval to murder half of the known population in the universe?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. Just for
Of
clarity.
people?
Of everything.
Microbes?
Yes.
Doggos?
More importantly, the bees.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. With the people, I mean, you get what you get, but not the bees. I can't deal with the bees going. Yeah.
Yes, they've already been decimated far enough.
Absolutely not. If you take the bees, the rest of us might as well not be here.
I'm surprised he's asking for permission. Usually, he just does whatever the fuck he wants. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So that's a no.
Yeah, that's a hell
denied
no.
on that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a strong no.
All right.
Hard no.
Hard no.
The hardest of
There
no's.
And also
do not
add
need to
him-
add any more dust to the
I would
universe.
also like to add a document of concern and flag him with Musk.
With Musk.
Yeah. Musk is still higher, though, on the list.
Okay. All right, so I want to thank our committee for being here today. We know these are very tough decisions. It's a lot to go through. If you could just take a moment and let us know where we can find you doing research next.
Yes.
We'll start at the end.
Oh, my next panel. Good question. Oh, we will be in the multiverse of multiverses at 1 o'clock tomorrow in the Grand East Hilton.
Yes, and I will be doing presenting science for TV and film tomorrow, as well as scientists versus movies, which is always a good time. So hope you'll join in with that.
All right, and tomorrow I'll be at Speculative Evolution back here at 11:30, and then also tomorrow, Alien Comparative Anatomy. With both of you?
No, I'm not. I'll be in the audience heckling from the back.
Oh.
Yep. Alien Comparative Anatomy will be in the Crystal Ballroom at 4 o'clock tomorrow. I'll also be on at 7 in the Crystal Ballroom, Educators versus Scientists, who explains it better.
Woot woot.
And at 10 p.m., of course, Scientists versus the movies. Thank you all so much for coming out today.
Thank
We
you for coming to
appreciate
the
your
meeting.
contributions.
These proceedings are now closed, if you will. You must leave all paperwork and notes from these proceedings in this room. They cannot be taken with you. Thank
But
you.
do please on your app rate and review. That
Only
way
if you
we
liked
can get
it.
bigger rooms. This is true. Only if you liked it. Also, the Solve for X variety show is happening in the Hilton Grand East tonight, and please, it's grand. Do come. It's hilarious.
Excellent.